Michele and radical equals absolute integrity. Integrity, integrity, integrity. So, and full, sort of a fierce humanity that comes with that. So she's kind of like this fantastic, spiky-haired catalyst.
I was born with several disabilities that are invisible, but it made it really hard for me to get through school. And I spent most of my childhood in a hospital and hearing over and over and over again that this kid's not going to live, so don't make any plans for her. But then every year I did live in there, so I thought, well, I better start making plans at some point in time. That's actually why I chose to come to Mount Royal, because I hadn't died yet. I was in the student government in '93, first as the external vice president and then as president. Basically, I learned that whoever knows the game best will win. So I read all the rules. You know, I got binders and binders of papers to be on the Board of Governors. You got to read all this stuff. And so I did. I read every page and I learned every rule and I asked every question I needed to. And just by following due process, we just made it impossible for the college to raise tuition or to get any business done.
It was ruffling feathers, and it was like changes that nobody was looking at or was interested in. So yeah, there's a few times we thought she was going to get fired.
So we did everything we could to shut the bureaucracy down, including inviting 200 students to a Board of Governors meetings with boxes of craft dinner, and the students weren't allowed to speak, but I had instructed them, anytime you hear the word tuition, start shaking the boxes and making so much noise that the meeting can't go on. There was a lot of spectacle, a lot of fun things. We put a 1-ton block of ice here in the Wickham house and let it melt because we were frozen out of tuition talks. We left a little ice pick and asked people could chip away at these talks we'd frozen out of.
It was obvious that she did care for the students that she was supporting because you could see it in her face and in her actions. And I don't know if they paid her for all the overtime she did and all the traveling and everything that she went through with all of us.
If I create a legacy, it's a legacy of listening to students and responding to them instead of imposing what we think is right. And I think that's a legacy that this college has. I mean, I loved it. Tom Wood was president at the time, and I don't know how many times we sat there and had Chinese food together, and he had a vision. And he taught me that that's what you need to be successful in life. You have a vision for how you want the world to be. You start with where you want to end up, and then you work backwards. So if that's what I think the world should be, what do I need to do to get there? So here's where I am now, so I'll take this step and this step. So that's the legacy. Every time I come up with a vision, it gets achieved. And then I move on to the next thing.
Science has made it possible for people to buy into the misconceptions about people with disabilities.
Just listen to us and see us
As I am!
While I was working here and developing these support services, I was also doing a lot of volunteer work in the community. So I had the great opportunity to be working in the disability service providers world. And we were bored. We had done protests and we had down to a science. We had done 4 or 5 protests in a year and we had all these successes and we were losing everybody. So they turned to me and just said, well, we got this leadership development money, let's use it for something creative. So I said, okay, let's make a play. So all of a sudden we had this social justice goals through this, instead of social action and protests and letter writing and meetings with MLAs, suddenly it was by telling your story and acting it out on stage in front of the MLAs and the mayors and the policymakers. And we saw more profound change here in this audience than we ever did through 5 or 6 years of direct advocacy and lobbying and protesting, because all of a sudden it was a human story.
So let's all try that. So I say sad. So take your time and put your body in a position that helps you to feel sad.
Stage Left is a company that I created in, I think, 1999, and it's a company that just marries my passion for activism and social justice and the arts, bring them together to use the arts to affect personal and social transformation.
My name is Nicole Dunbar, and I first met Michele probably around 2004 in December. I was looking for someone who was doing some interesting work in the arts and using it in different ways, and I found Michele, hunted her down, and saw her at the Balancing Acts Disability Arts Festival.
So you stand here. If there's at least one of those feelings that you're feeling in your life right now,
She blew up the possibilities for me because drama therapy is a lot more individual focused and small group focused, as opposed to looking at things at a more structural or social level. With Michele, it was sort of like, oh, there's a way to do this kind of work, but in a community setting and to address sort of larger things.
To me, I use a technique, it's called Theatre of the Oppressed. My company has been designated as one of only 6 centers for the Theatre of the Oppressed worldwide. And it's a specific type of drama where really you just take all the expertise and you turn it over to the community and you use theatre to examine personal and social problems. So that's exactly what we do. And then you take that play that the community itself has developed and you show it to the rest of the community. And then all of a sudden, instead of 10 or 20 people, you've got 200 people involved in a dialogue about what the community is struggling with.
One moment that stands out for her in being recognized is Augusto Boal, who is the founder of Theatre of the Oppressed. And when we were in New York, I was doing some training, he was doing a workshop, and when he found out that that person there is Michele Decottignies, it was like, I need to give Michele a hug. And they hugged and sort of held each other's arms and spoke, and it was very much a moment of that honest recognition.
Anytime we have to stand on stage, we're all just that scared little person. We're not the president of the college or the university, we're not the student in elementary school, we're just a scared person who has a story to tell. And that changes everything. And it makes us engage with each other as human beings, not as people we're in service to or as people have something to prove. It's just one person to another.
Truly, I mean, her heart is enormous, and she's, for all the complex things that she can do and very difficult things that she can do, she is a very simple person that is just kind of moving through this world with, yeah, she is an unstoppable heart, and she just loves people, wants to be connecting with people and sharing herself with others, and she's just completely human. She's so human, and it's beautiful.
People ask me, why are you doing this work? It's to give everybody the love I didn't get when I was a kid. Because that's love. I think love makes everything better. It saves the world, it saves each other, and it saves ourselves. So really it is to keep that mantra, love will save the world, so it's dare to love.